Hello, hello. Welcome to yoga. My name is Nicola, and this will be an all levels yoga class, offering options and modifications. And today's practice, we'll do the whole body as we always do, but with a focus on the neck and shoulder area. So I'll just encourage you to listen to your body. And if anything doesn't feel right, just pick another yoga posture or just back out of the pose a little bit. Pick one of the options. So we will begin with our centering. So find a nice tall spine. And just begin to slow your breathing. Allowing belly to expand as you inhale. And as you exhale, just draw belly button in towards spine, helping fully expel all that breath, making room for your next full breath. And just do a quick full body scan, head to toe, checking in with yourself, seeing how you feel in this moment. Just noting any areas that you may need to take extra care of. Keeping that in mind to personalize the practice to your needs. So we'll be moving into the three-part yoga breath. Part one, you're already doing by expanding and softening the belly as you inhale. And drawing belly button to spine as you exhale. So on your next inhale, allow belly and then rib cage to expand. And as you exhale, draw in the ribs, draw in the belly. If you can, inhale and exhale through the nose. It's not always possible. And then bringing in the third part of our three-part or yoga breath. On your next inhale, allow belly, rib cage, and then collarbones to expand. As you exhale, collarbones fall, ribs draw in, belly button draws towards spine.
It takes a crane to build a crane. It takes two
Just getting the sense that you're filling up your lungs from bottom to top
It takes an egg
and emptying from top to bottom.
to make an egg. There is no end to what I'm saying. It takes a thought to make
And perhaps setting an intention for yourself for today's practice.
to make an
It
action.
could be a single word or a short phrase.
It takes some work to
Just something that you hope to achieve through your time on the yoga mat today.
roll satisfaction.
And just repeat that intention to yourself 3 times just to seal it in.
It's wonderful. La 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 la. Life goes full circle. La 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 la.
And take one more full deep breath. Exhale. And then just allow your breathing to be natural. If your eyes were closed, you can go ahead and open them. So just drop your chin towards your chest, maintaining a nice, straight, tall spine. And just allowing the weight of the head to kind of stretch out the back of your neck. And then begin to make some half circles. So as you bring your chin over to one shoulder, inhale. Exhale as chin sweeps across your chest. Inhaling as chin comes to opposite shoulder. So just slowly making these half circles, beginning to work into the neck. Just going with the flow of your own breath, however it feels natural. And the next time your chin comes over to your left side, just pause and just note the stretch down the right side of your neck. So if you want, you can take this right hand and kind of reach it behind your back, bringing fingers to the opposite waistline. This will help draw down the shoulder, maybe increase that stretch in the neck a little. If you still feel you need more, take your left hand, place it on the side of your head, and just add a little gentle pressure to increase that stretch. And then releasing your left hand to the ground alongside you, take your right arm and sweep it overhead, finding a side bend. And think about elongating the rib cage on the right side, pushing up and away through the fingertips rather than kind of collapsing down. Think about stretching, elongating, and as you inhale, breathe into this right rib cage area. And then simply twist at the waist till your torso faces your left thigh and reach forward through the fingertips, feeling that stretch now in the right shoulder area. And then coming to a nice tall spine, taking your right hand to the outside of your left thigh, left hand behind you to prop yourself up nice and tall on an inhale. Exhale, find your twist, twisting towards the left side. If it's okay in your neck, you can turn your head and look all the way back. Perhaps as we hold the twist, think about sitting a little taller with each inhale, twisting a fraction more with each exhale. Just gradually working a little deeper into this spinal twist. And then gradually release the twist, coming to face front. And once more, just drop chin to chest. And then just begin those half circles, working with your breath. Inhaling as chin comes over to one shoulder. Excuse me. And exhaling as it passes across your chest. And the next time your chin comes over to your right side, just pause, noting that stretch down the left side of your neck. Perhaps taking this left hand and reaching it behind your back, bringing fingertips to opposite waistline. If you need a little more, using right hand to add a little gentle weight to the head. To stretch out the neck a little more. then releasing this right hand down to the mat. Stretching left arm overhead, reaching away through your fingertips. Expanding that left rib cage as you inhale. And then twisting at the waist, reaching forward through the fingertips. Feeling that stretch now in that left shoulder blade area. And then coming up to a nice tall spine. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee, right arm behind you. Inhale. Exhale, finding a twist.
Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone.
Take one more inhale. Exhale, just deepen your twist. And then release the twist, coming to face front. And then moving onto your hands and knees, so finding a tabletop position. Just making sure wrists, elbows, shoulders are in line, knees and hips are in line. Inhaling, lower the belly, tailbone and chin tip up. And as you exhale, rounding that back, pushing into hands and knees, tucking chin and tailbone. Just continue with your own breath, moving back and forth between this dog posture and the cat posture. And the next time you find yourself in that dog posture with belly lowered, tailbone and chin tipping up, just pause. And then maintaining that posture, that kind of sway to the low back, begin to sink your hips back towards your heels. Looking up if it's okay in the neck. Just take a couple more breaths here. And then begin to come back up to a tabletop. Moving into puppy or melting heart. Just come down onto your forearms. If you want, you can even turn your arms a little bit so your hands come out to the front corners of your mat. And then just begin to sink your hips slightly back till you can place your forehead on the mat. So your hips will still be up in the air. Forearms are down, forehead is resting on the ground. Feeling a nice stretch between the shoulder blades and in the armpits. And then you can choose to stay in this melting heart or puppy stretch. Or you can sink the hips back, dragging your arms back with you till your hips Meet your heels. Forehead once more comes to rest on the mat, coming into child's pose. If forehead does not comfortably rest on the mat, make a fist or stack your palms. And we'll just stay for a few breaths here in child's pose, or if you stayed in that melting heart posture, just take 3 or 4 more breaths here. So just taking 1 more breath here. Make your way back up into a tabletop and we'll prepare for downward facing dog. Just make sure that your fingers are spread nice and wide. Hands are a little forward of the shoulders. Hook your toes under. And then just begin to lift up your hips. Beginning to straighten your legs. If hamstrings are tight, your knees will stay bent, and that's okay. Think about tipping your tailbone up and back and pushing your heels towards the mat. Pushing into your hands. So chest moves back towards your thighs. And then just taking your attention to your shoulder blades. Think about drawing them down your back and then wrapping them forward. All this will just help support the spine as we hold this downward facing dog. And just remember that yours may look very different to mine, and that's okay. Knees can be bent. Heels do not have to make it down to the mat. You just want to push them in that direction. And perhaps coming up onto the balls of the feet, alternately pressing one heel then the other, down into the mat, walking your dog. And then just coming to stillness, pausing in this downward facing dog for another breath or so. And then moving into a forward fold, begin to walk your feet towards the front of your mat till you land in a forward fold. For me, I'm choosing to keep my spine straight, but if you're able to and you want to, you can round the spine and bring nose towards knees. And always remember, there should be a soft bend to the knees. You never want to lock out your knee joints, but if you need to, generously bend your knees. This all depends on your flexibility in the hamstring area. You should feel a stretch, but you should not feel discomfort. If forward folds are not for you, you have sinus issues, glaucoma, high blood pressure, then come up to a jackknife position, keeping torso parallel with the mat. So plenty options here. If you like to come into ragdoll, grasp opposite elbows, round the spine, and just allow your body to sway side to side, back and forth, letting head and neck hang loose. And then just making sure that your feet are about hip width apart. Just bring your hands to shins or thighs and come up to that jackknife position. Again, make sure knees are soft. Use your shoulder blades to draw shoulders back away from the ears. Crown of the head is pointing forward. And then slowly sinking your hips down as if you're about to sit in a chair. We'll be coming into Utkatasana or chair pose. Options for the arms. They can be in prayer pose. You can do cactus or goalpost arms, or for a little more core challenge, you can reach the arms forward, keeping the upper arms alongside your ears. Weight should be in the heels. You should be able to wiggle your toes. And then adding a twist towards your left side. And you can choose to stay a little more upright, bringing the back of the right hand to the outside of your thigh and opening this left arm. Or you can sink the hips a little more till you can get your elbow down. Make a fist. Press your left hand onto your fist. Kind of push yourself a little deeper into the twist. And then inhaling, straighten your legs. And just come into some sun breaths here by reaching up, bringing palms together. Exhale, pressing palms down. Just do one more. And the next time you reach up, hold the arms and sink down into the hips, bending your knees. And you choose to keep the arms outstretched or pick one of the other options. Again, just check in with yourself. Make sure you can move your toes around. Weight is in the heels. Tailbone is tucked forward slightly to support the low back. And then adding the twist, choosing to stay more upright or sinking a little lower, bringing your elbow down, deepening the bend in the legs. Take one more breath. Really wring out the spine, deepening that twist. Then inhale, reaching up. And once more, just come into some sun breaths. Just take one more. And then just bring hands to heart, pausing for a breath or two in mountain pose. And then just lowering your arms. Turn sideways on your mat so you have the long edge of your mat available. And just kind of find a wide stance. Toes are kind of pointed out towards the outer corners of your mat. And then just sinking into the hips, making your way into Goddess. Again, you can come into Anjali Mudra or prayer pose, or maybe do these traditional cactus arms. And then bringing your hands to your thighs, we'll work into the shoulders a little bit, kind of dipping one shoulder down on an exhale. Inhale through center. Exhale, dip the other shoulder. And just continue moving from side to side, going as fast or as slow as feels natural to you. Do a couple more of these. Go once more to either side. And then straightening the legs, reaching up, coming to 5-pointed star. And then turn your toes in, heels out, and bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, push down through the knuckles as you draw shoulder blades together. So we'll be coming into a forward fold, softening your knees. Just begin to come forward and pause when your torso is parallel to the mat. Now there's an option to stay right here. If you're staying here, just try to lift your hands away from your lower back a little bit. If you don't like the bind, you can release it and bring your hands to your thighs. And if you would like to continue folding forward, just continue down and allow your arms to come as far away from your back as feels comfortable. If you're liking the shoulder rinse from the bind, then please enjoy it for a few more breaths. Whenever you've had enough, you can just release the hands and bring your fingertips down to the mat. So if you didn't already, go ahead and release your bind. Bring your arms down. And again, you can choose to try to keep a straight spine, or you can round the spine, bringing your head a little closer to the ground. And we'll add a twist here. So bringing your right hand to the center, keeping your hips level, sweep that left arm open, finding a twist. Twist should be done with a straight spine, and they come from the waist up. So keeping hips level with the mat is important here. Exhaling, lower that hand, and twist to the other side. And lowering back down, come back to your forward fold for another breath or two. And then softening your knees, make your way up. And once more, just bring your heels in, toes out, sink your hips down, coming into goddess pose. Just challenging the thighs here, building a little heat. Maybe sinking an inch or two lower. And on your next inhale breath, coming once more to 5-pointed star. Splay the fingers. Let energy radiate out from the fingertips. And then slowly bringing arms down, bringing your feet together. So we're doing a little balance here. I don't really have a name for this one. It's kind of got 2 or 3 parts to it. So take your weight into your left foot and just come onto the toe of your right foot. If you're very challenged for balance, you might want to move closer to a wall so you can kind of put your fingers against a wall. Or you can choose to just keep your toe close to the ground and maybe just play with some easy balance. Tighten your core. If you can, just draw your leg up till your thigh is parallel with the ground. We'll take a breath or two here. And then keeping your left hand on your waist, take your right hand to the inside of your knee and gradually bring this knee out to the side. One more option, which will challenge your balance, is to take your gaze and look out to your left side. So you're looking to the opposite side that the leg is out. And if you did turn your head, slowly bring your gaze back. Bring your knee back in, and if you can, hug your knee to your chest. And then bringing your arms out, extend that leg forward. And then slowly bring it down. Just give your legs a bit of a shake before we switch to the other side. So bringing the weight into your right leg, sinking down, bending the knee slightly. Choose if you want to keep the toe close to the ground, or if you bring the thigh parallel to the earth. And then gradually easing that knee out to the side, keeping hand on your waist. And then choosing if you want to take your gaze to the side. You may notice that one side is easier to balance than the other. Or your balance may be bad this week, or it was great last week. That's all normal. Bringing your gaze back forward. Bring your knee in. Hug your knee. Bringing your arms out. Extend your leg forward. And then slowly lower. And once more, just give your legs a good shake. And turning on your mat, we'll move towards the front of the mat. So bring the weight into your left foot. Take a good step back with your right till you can set the heel down. And just bend this front knee. Try to keep knee above ankle. Hips are facing forward. Inhaling, reaching up, if that's okay in your arms. Again, always prayer pose, goalpost arms. Maybe the bind, adding a little back bend. Maybe you like to do steeple pose. So you pick what arm posture is speaking to you right now. And just take another breath or two here. And then reaching your arms up, keeping them parallel to one another. Begin to lean forward. Coming into a flying warrior, challenging the core. If you need a break, sweep your arms back. And then coming back up, open your hips to the right side, finding a warrior two. Arms are at shoulder height, energy radiating fingertip to fingertip. Again, your front knee is above your ankle, and your gaze can be forward towards this left hand. And then bringing your left arm to your thigh, sweeping back arm overhead. Making sure you keep this right hip down. We'll make our way to extended side angle. For more of a core challenge, you can release this front arm and reach down. And from here, we'll be transitioning to a high lunge. So release your back heel and pivot to face front. Sinking down into that front leg. Hands are on thighs. And you can choose to stay in this high lunge or reach down, coming into a runner's lunge. If you are in the runner's lunge, maybe rocking back and forth on this back ankle. And then slowly lowering back knee to the ground. Back onto this back knee, bringing your weight back there, extending your front leg, straightening it. And then keeping the spine straight, just kind of folding forward a little bit. Coming into a half split. If you're super flexible and you choose to do a full split here, that's always an option. You can flex your front foot or keep the toe pointed. And then bringing the weight back into the front foot. Coming into a low lunge, inhale, reaching up. And then bringing hands down to either side of your front foot. Bringing weight into your hands, we'll step back to downward facing dog. Maybe just taking a few breaths here to walk out your dog. Ease out your hips a little bit. And then softening your knees, looking forward, you'll step the right foot forward and set your back heel down. And just make your way up, finding your version of Warrior One. Knee above ankle, reaching up, finding the bind, doing whatever feels right in your arms. Hips facing front. And then reaching the arms up, leaning forward, challenging that front thigh, coming into flying warrior, making sure you're drawing belly button up and in. And then coming back upright, opening up to your warrior two. So hips are open to the left. And then bringing your elbow to thigh, sweeping back arm overhead, making sure you sink into this front leg so your back hip stays down. You want to avoid pushing that hip up. And again, for more core challenge, release your front arm. And then coming into that high lunge, you might need to shift your feet around a little bit. Pick up your back heel and sink down into that high lunge. And if you want, bringing your hands either side of your front foot, coming into runner's lunge. If you choose the runner's lunge, you can kind of rock back and forth on your left ankle. And then lowering your back knee, moving back so your weight comes more into your knee, hips shifting back slightly, straightening front leg, finding that half split. Again, you choose, flex your front foot or keep it pointed. Maybe coming into full split if you're adventurous and flexible. Try to think about scissoring your hips as you hold this posture. So bringing your left hip forward as you pull your right hip back. Kind of pulling that front leg back a little bit. And then coming back forward, taking your weight into your front foot. Reaching up, coming into a low lunge. Belly button drawing towards spine, reaching up, fingertips splayed nice and wide. And then lowering your hands down, taking your weight into your hands and stepping back once more to downward facing dog. If you do prefer a child's pose here, we'll be here for about 5 or 6 breaths. So child's pose is your option here. If you're holding downward dog, you can choose to just hold the pose, walk the dog, or maybe even raise one leg at a time, coming into a little 3-legged dog. Perhaps even adding that hip opener. If you are taking 3-legged dog, make sure you give yourself time to switch legs. And then making your way gradually to a tabletop position. And then we'll be coming forward onto our belly. So just lower down onto the mat. Rest your arms behind you, maybe bending your legs. Windshield wipering your feet from side to side. your legs. Just bring your forehead down to the mat. Bring your hands just approximately underneath your shoulders. And just begin to lift up the head, chest, shoulders, coming into a low cobra. Perhaps lifting your hands off the mat an inch or two. Really working the back here. Option to stay here if you prefer full cobra. Bring your hands back down and just continue to push up. If you prefer upward facing dog, pushing into the tops of the feet so that your knees come off the mat. Just we'll hold here for a couple of breaths. And then slowly lower down, turn your head to one side, release your arms, and again, maybe just releasing low back by allowing feet to fall gently from side to side. So we'll be doing that cobra pose one more time, remembering your option of low cobra, full cobra, or upward facing dog. So come into your posture of choice. Think about pushing the tailbone forward, supporting low back, drawing shoulder blades together, opening up the chest. Taking one more breath, and then slowly lowering down. Maybe turn your head to the opposite side, and once more, just windshield wiper your feet from side to side. And then lowering your feet down. Arms out pretty wide. Keep them level with your shoulders but out to the sides. And with an inhale breath, just push up. So you're kind of in a cobra with bent elbows. Just begin to dip a shoulder just like we did earlier from the squat position. Exhaling as you dip your shoulder. Inhaling as you come up into the cobra. For anyone who sits a lot during the day, these cobras or back bends are very, very good for your spine to counteract all that sitting. And just pausing once more in this cobra. Slowly lower. And then we'll be finding a child's pose. So bringing hands to either side of your ribs. Push up through tabletop. And make your way back to child's pose. I'm choosing puppy here because I am keeping my spine straight. But otherwise, sink your hips back, rounding the spine, coming into child's pose. And then lowering back down onto your front. We'll be coming into a half bow pose. So extend your right arm forward, bring your forehead down to the mat, and bend your left leg, flex your foot, and go ahead and grab that ankle. And think about tucking your tailbone forward, and then push that left foot away from you, allowing it to bring your upper body up. Your right arm is extended forward. Your knee will be off the ground, but it's less about pulling the knee up, more about pushing the foot away from you. Gently lower. Extend your leg, extend your Left arm forward, coming into a full body stretch. And then bending your right leg, grabbing your right ankle, flex that foot. And then tucking your tailbone, begin to push that right foot away, coming up into your back bend, your half bow. And then slowly lower down. And then bringing hands to either side of your ribs, once more pushing back, coming into either puppy or child's pose. Yogi's choice. And then gradually coming up to a seated position. And find a seat somewhere in the center of your mat. You'll be coming on to the back, so just make sure you have some mat behind you, and then slowly lower yourself back, drawing feet in, arms by your sides. We'll be working with one more back bend, which is bridge, but we'll begin with a little pelvic tilting. So as you inhale, push your tailbone down and allow that low back to kind of arch off the mat. As you exhale, push low back into mat, push into the feet, just bringing your hips an inch or two off the mat. Inhaling, tip your pelvis down. Exhale, push low back, lift hips an inch. And just continue to rock back and forth here with your own breath. And then if you want, coming into a rolling bridge, the next time you start to lift your hips, just continue all the way up. And as you exhale, roll down the spine. And then push tailbone into the mat. Inhaling, hips all the way up. Exhale, rolling down. Again, just continue with a few more of these. And you can always stay with this rolling bridge or return back to the pelvic tilting. And if you want, we can hold the bridge, so the next time your hips are coming up, just kind of pause there, pushing down into the arms, pushing into the heels, engaging inner thighs. Just make sure there's no weight in the neck. It should be between the back of the head and the shoulders. Maybe even walking your shoulder blades in, interlacing your fingers and pushing knuckles towards heels. And then if you do have the bind, release it and slowly lower down. Just draw knees to chest, hug them tightly. And then extending the legs up. Begin to flex and point your feet. And then circle the ankles. And then just pause here, flex your feet. Interlace your fingers and bring your hands behind your head. Take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, just draw chin towards chest. Should feel a nice stretch in the back of the neck and down the spine. And then slowly lowering your head down, release your hands. Just begin to bend your knees, coming into happy baby. Then you can choose to grab your feet if that's possible. Or maybe just hold onto your shins or resting forearms on the back of your thighs. Just begin to draw knees down towards your chest. And making sure the tailbone is down on the mat. You can begin to rock side to side if that feels good. Or perhaps bending and extending the legs, working into the hamstrings. And then releasing your feet, coming back into hip stand. Take a breath here. And then bending the knees, bringing feet flat on the mat. Take your right ankle, bring it just below the left knee. Push that right knee away, connecting low back to mat. Choose to stay here, or pick up your left foot and draw your left knee in. Maybe interlacing fingers and holding just below the knee or behind the thigh. Just drawing that left knee in till you feel a good stretch, a bullseye of sensation in your right hip. Just think about sending your breath to that bullseye of sensation. Gradually releasing your legs, bringing the feet down. Switching to the other side, so bringing left ankle just below right knee, pushing that left knee away. And then if you want, bringing right knee in, maybe interlacing fingers on that right shin or behind the thigh, and drawing the knee as close as you can so you get a good sensation in this left hip. And then just slowly releasing your legs, bringing feet flat on the mat. Just allow knees to gently rotate from side to side. And then just bringing your legs to stillness, bring your feet together. And just allow both knees together to kind of come over to the left side. Arms can come out to shoulder height, or you can take your left hand to kind of encourage those knees a little closer to the floor, coming into a twist. And then gradually coming on to the back. And just allow both knees together to come over to your right side, arms at shoulder height, or using your right arm to encourage the knees a little closer to the floor, deepening the twist. And then gradually just rolling on to the back. And making your way into Shavasana. If you need some layers, feel free to grab a sweatshirt, a blanket, a pair of socks. And then finding a comfortable position where you can just fully relax and let go. And just begin to slow down your breathing. Just quickly mentally scan your body and see where you may be holding onto some tension. Just try to let that go. And then just paying attention to where you feel the support of the floor beneath you. Take an inhale breath. And exhale with a sigh. And just sink into the support of the earth. Limbs are heavy. Muscles are soft and relaxed. Breathing is soft. Just try to keep thoughts to a minimum. Begin to make some small movements, bringing your attention back to the present moment. Maybe wiggling fingers and toes or rotating wrists and ankles, or perhaps just taking a full body stretch. And then maybe rolling onto one side and pausing for a few breaths there. And And then whenever you're ready, taking your time, just transition to a seated position. Maybe sitting with eyes closed or with a soft gaze. And then taking an inhale breath, reaching arms out and up, bringing palms together and drawing hands to heart center. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.